Hi guys, my name is Nidhi. I'm a trained Bharatanatyam dancer for 18 years and contemporary dancer for 9 years. It's just the experience matters. It's not how much you're training. Idea of not being stable in art really puts a lot of people off. I'm not saying that artists don't have a shelf life. They do. It's this process and this creativity process where you learn, unlearn, relearn a lot of things about yourself, your body, your mind, about your art. You get different perspectives. Getting involved in like fine arts, like that's why as a child you're always doing a lot of other things like music, dance, drama, drawing. Like art in general has a very in-depth understanding of healing and therapy for a lot of people.
Hello and welcome to By Its Own Interviews. Saturday after Saturday, we bring you new stories, and this time it is from the world of dance. So, we welcome Nidhi with us today, who is a classical dancer as well as a contemporary dancer, and she's also a movement therapist, and she's done physical theater as well. So, welcome Nidhi, and thank you so much for being with us today.
Hi everybody. I'm so happy to be a part of this because I think it's really important as artists to like get our stories out there also sometimes. So yeah.
Yeah, could you start by telling us a little bit about yourself, and then we could talk about all the other things that we have to talk about.
Hi guys, my name is Nidhi. I'm a graduate from Xavier's and I have done my graduation in sociology, and right after that, I did my postgraduate diploma or like a diploma in dance and movement therapy. Well, I'm yet in process of being a practitioner. And I have been a classical dancer for a while and a contemporary dancer, and I'm a trained Kalari Paitu artist too, and I'm into physical theater, like Sasha said. I think she's introduced me pretty much in the best way possible. Um, yeah, and to begin with, I'm a trained Bharatanatyam dancer for 18 years and contemporary dancer for 9 years. And I teach in a organization called Nrityangan Academy of Fine Arts, where I teach Bharatanatyam to all age groups, group batches as well as private tuitions. So yeah, and physical theater is something that I am working in, like I'm training in yet. So yeah,
I
that's
just
a lot.
have one question at this moment: is how old are you, Nidhi? If you don't mind me asking.
I feel really old when I have to say this now. 23. Yeah, I'll be 20. I'm
and
23. Yeah.
and you've done so much, like you've explored so much in the world of dance. But how did this start? Like, what was your first interaction, or when did you begin to like? When were you introduced to dance?
Actually, pretty much by my mother, because my mom is my classic Bharatanatyam teacher. So she
Okay.
has an academy of her own, and that's where I teach like the junior batches and like all age groups. So I pretty much started dancing much before I could even like walk or even crawl. I started at the age of 5,
Okay.
and then I did my Arangetram in Bharatanatyam at the age of 13, 14. And yeah, and in school I was active in like dance dramas and a lot of performances.
Okay, so you said that you started with Bharatnatyam. So when did you discover movement therapy? Because that's something that you do. I mean, is movement therapy a bigger part of your life now, or you know?
Um, I can say actually I was introduced to movement therapy when I was writing my thesis in sociology, like my research paper. My topic was the survival strategies of performing artists, and that's when I came into contact and with the idea of movement therapy. And I always realized the therapeutic aspect of dance and art in general at a very young age, because when I was a child, and if I did not dance for like a couple of hours in the day, I could never concentrate on my studies. I used to feel so stuck emotionally and mentally. And I think movement therapy was actually introduced to me through a research paper that I did write in Xavier's. And when I did begin with the journey of realizing, when we always thought science and art are like two parallel concepts, but when you
Right.
actually try to find a common point, they find a way of therapy and healing for people.
Okay.
So getting involved in like fine arts, like that's why as a child you're always doing a lot of other things
Right.
like music, dance, drama, drawing, because that is where a person does find a sort of solace and some sort of something that they can go back to when they're really stressed. So they do have like a very in-depth understanding of, like, art in general has a very in-depth
Yep.
understanding of healing and therapy for a lot of people.
Right. So I was reading an article on movement therapy, and there was a paragraph that actually really stuck with me, which was that as children we already always introduced to extracurricular activities, and we're taught to go. I mean, our parents go, push us to go for dance classes and drawing classes and stuff. But when we get older, we slowly lose that, not the sense of rhythm, I'd say, but we don't look at dance as something that, oh, maybe I could still learn. After a certain point we think, oh, we're older now, we need to like do things what I think adults do. So could you explain to us what movement therapy is, for those who don't know? Because at least in India it's still quite a, um, not a new concept, but people are just understanding about it and learning about it now.
Yeah. Well, again, I would have a lot of references from my research paper that I wrote. So the topic actually began with how conventional professions overtake people's passion. So I think to begin with, it's just the fact that art is very precarious. It's very uncertain, with the idea of like monetary stability, with your experience with it, and art demands a lot of time. Like it has this inward journey that you go through, and then there are like moments where you don't feel you're good enough, or you're just not enough, because even how much ever you train, you always feel like you're lacking somewhere or the other. But eventually it's a person and an individual's journey and process, I must say, because art can be overwhelming.
Right.
It does make you feel empowered, but it makes you feel powerless at the same time. I started teaching at a very young age, I'd say 16, 17. I started teaching, and I started you know uh, having a sort of income for myself at a young age. But once you graduate and you see your friends doing much better than you are already doing, that becomes a set of it's like a setback,
Setback.
because you thought you would be able to achieve what you want to achieve
Right.
at by this age. But you can't have an age limit for art. And
Absolutely.
it's just the experience matters. It's not how much you're training. It's about your journey with the art, not how much you're training with the art form. Or it's, of course, the training does matter. Of course it does matter, I'm not saying it does not matter. But eventually there comes a point where you can't just be training all the time. You need to know
Absolutely.
where you need to take a stance and be like, okay, this is now what I want to do with that. There might be you want to create a niche within it, or you want to develop something more than what you are learning. So it does every I think every human being has a very artistic side to themselves. It's just that I think the idea of not being stable in art really puts a lot of people off, you
Absolutely.
know
Yes.
so like if you introduce yourself as a dancer, they would always be like, oh, what do you do otherwise?
Like, they always
It's
think of
like,
it as a hobby, and even if
yeah,
you say that, oh, I'm a dancer or an actor, I don't think people would think of it as a profession. And as you said, I think it's the stability and security also that comes into play.
Coming to movement therapy, again, I would want to say it. I wouldn't say it's obviously very different. It's again like a psychotherapeutic tool devised for people to get rid of their trauma based in their body.
Okay.
So we do have like conventional form of therapy where you go for talk therapy, and a lot of, you know, there are different types of therapy and then different schools of psychology that you adhere to, but then there is an expressive arts therapy thing, school, which does involve music, drama, fine arts, dance, movement. So I think that's where movement therapy has its genesis from like this huge umbrella of expressive arts therapy to movement therapy. So I would just say it's like a psychotherapeutic tool for people to get over or come to awareness with their bodily trauma. So just a
Okay.
little history of movement therapy, how it came into India was with the idea of healing sex workers.
Okay.
So when it came to India, like with the idea of healing sex workers and the model that I'm working with from TIS, that's Tata Institute of Social Science, which is affiliated to a organization called Kolkata Shramved. So it started, I mean, there are pioneers in different states, of course. There is Tripura Kashyap in Delhi who is doing a different set of work. This the the curator of my course is dealing with a different model called the Sampurnata model, where the healers can become the abusers, the abused can become healers.
Okay.
So, so she does work in depth with a lot of sex workers in Calcutta.
Right.
And since we all know that all of us have body trauma, we might have been, it could be childhood trauma, it could be like trauma, like even tiny trauma of being touched inappropriately is a form of body trauma. And if someone touches you in on that part, you'll always feel like, oh, I feel uncomfortable. You that these are your body reflexes, and there are neurons that start working in when you start understanding this kind of process. So it does help a lot of people. Like, I wouldn't say it heals a person completely, it
Okay.
just empowers a person
Fine. Hmm.
to come to awareness with their issues. You know, like if a person is going through a chronic illness, so when it's like, suppose someone's diagnosed with cancer, of course cancer is very brutal, but there is a way to heal yourself where you can come out of cancer also. You could be a fighter, so like that. So I would say expressive art therapy actually enables you or facilitates you through this process where you are the driving force, and you and your body or your entire machine, you could call,
Right.
could help you and take you to a path of healing.
Okay.
So that is the main aim of movement therapy. And again, it's not a therapy where people, it's not a conventional form of therapy, it's a form
Right.
of intervention.
Hmm.
It's like you cannot devoid a person with cancer, chemotherapy, or immunotherapy. It is just an intervention technique where you're empowering the person, saying that, you know, I am ill, but you know, my life just does not end here.
Hmm.
I can heal out of this.
So basically, it's exploration as well as expression.
Yes, you could say that.
Okay, okay. And why is this not widely used in psychological therapies? And why is it a separate entity? I could say, like, why is expressive arts a separate entity and not used in cohesion with psychology?
So there is a lot of research that is being done as to why they are not doing it, because I also feel like this is like how we have conventional form of medicine, and then we have our Ayurvedic medicines, then we have homeopathic medicines.
Hmm.
They still have like this conflict and this dichotomy that
Absolutely.
exists between the two. So it does get difficult for like conventional psychologists or counselors to actually accept that, you know, you could use like expressive arts to like understand more about yourself, more about your body, your mind, because whatever happens in your mind, if
Hmm.
you're stressed, have physiological changes. If
Right.
you're anxious, your heart is beating faster than it usually does. You have palpitation. So, how do you deal with these physiological changes when you're
Hmm.
stressed? So, like, there are different breathing techniques that you are
Okay.
actually, like, again, you asked me, right? Yoga
Yeah.
and movement therapy, are they different? So, there are different. So, yoga is like a practice, it's a discipline. You have to do it regularly.
Right.
You don't have to go through this idea of need assessment. Of course, you do have, when you do your teacher's training in yoga, you have like, do you have health issues? Do you have um, any chronic pain or on those lines? But like when you actually go for like movement therapy, you have a need assessment. You develop a module. You develop your sessions. You plan the sessions. Say if you have 20 sessions or 10 sessions, you plan those sessions depending on the need of the person. So I think that's where you could draw the difference, and like the difference between yoga and movement therapy, because yoga is more structured and more like this is a discipline. We can tweak it a little bit, but movement therapy is more like we are going to start where the client is. We are going
Okay.
to start where your journey is and
So
take you
when
ahead.
you, I'm sorry to interrupt you. When you take a particular class, how many people do you like? You take group sessions or is it individual, or does it
So,
depend?
since I'm in my internship phase
Right.
with movement therapy, we have maximum at least 10 to 12 participants.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
usually it's very difficult to do individual sessions. I'm
Right.
not saying it's not possible, it's just difficult because I feel when you need to understand your correlation and your how your body responds to others' body.
Right.
So there
Right.
is like this idea of contact.
Hmm.
So like your energy is like transmitted to me, where I feel empowered, and my energy somehow transmitted to you. So there is like energy collaboration that's happening. It's more like a support group where everyone together starts the journey and ends the journey. But there are different levels. Like each person is
Hmm.
on their individual process
Right.
of
Right. I
healing.
think that is the beauty of art, of collaboration and the whole vibe and energy that you pass on to others. Could you
Yes.
take us through how maybe a particular class looks like? Like maybe you start with breathing exercises, and then how does it go on? Just a sneak peek into it.
Okay, so like our internship, I would like to say,
Okay.
or yeah, our internship begins with like just a general feedback or like an introduction as to how you're feeling today. So many a times you do plan your sessions depending on the needs of the people already, right?
Hmm.
So when you are already giving, like developing your session plan depending on the needs of the people, there are a lot of times you come up with things that you think can be beneficial for the person, but the beginning of like the introduction of the session does give you a vibe of like how how they are feeling, like if they are like at the highest optimum level of exploring, or like they just don't feel like doing anything. So there is a lot of improvisation that happens, understanding the energy of the group. So like even the most well versed, I must say, like the well versed practitioner
Hmm.
might have these challenges where they might have like the best session plan according to them, but if the group does not vibe with it, they have to change and they have to improvise, because at the end of the day it's about how you are it's like how you are trying to develop a module and empower the client from where they are. It's not like a dance class where this is the structure, you have to follow this. You don't There is like a lot of freedom, I can say, and there's no hierarchy in a session plan. There is no like hierarchy where I am the facilitator and all my students or my
Hmm.
clients are there. there is like this cross like pollination, you can say,
Or
like cross.
like a relationship that you'll form
Yeah.
during these sessions? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Hmm. And how has
then,
this therapy helped you personally?
okay, so I think the path that I am on right now, even
Right.
though I am trained in different art forms, I just feel like this therapy has kind of opened me to the idea of embracing my own organic and authentic movements and not adding like a jargon of movements to my body which do not feel comfortable to do, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I come from a space of abstract art where I think I listen more to my body and to my like limbs and to how my inner rhythm is more than what the music is telling me to do,
Okay.
or more to do with how I'm feeling today. You know, sometimes most of my documentation is based on how I'm feeling today, or the stuck energies. You know, there are different techniques, like, you know, you have like the grounding techniques. How do you just incorporate that in your sense of movement and dance?
Right.
And
Right.
so movement therapy did help me, and I think it's a large chunk of my inspiration and the work that I'm doing and research that I'm doing.
Ab- Absolutely, it sounds about right. Last in our last interview, we had Team Alfaz with us. Who were basically talking about digital theater, and they took the theater space to a whole new level with this. Owing to the pandemic. Um, with dance also being, as you said, getting your energy from other people in a certain place. In a certain space, I'd say. How is it then different with digital, with Zoom classes and taking classes online? How do you then draw your energy from each other?
So I think it's the idea of creating a safe space online also.
Okay.
I do understand it's really difficult to do like dance online per se. It is a difficult thing that every
Hmm.
dancer or every artist in general is facing, you know.
Right.
It's because you either have to start creating like this idea of a safe space, and a safe space where, you know, everything, where you need to first get into the idea of um how do I put this, like how you can actually understand the energy of the group through a Zoom class also, you know, like how is it important to develop something which a lot of people won't be able to relate to in a normal class. So you do tweak, you do have like these techniques where you try to get these energies aligned you know, like
Right. I
energies aligned
understand. I
in the sense
understand. It
that
is quite difficult to do those things just through a screen because ideally, as artists, we always take energy from other people and then pass it on, and that's what creates the magic. But yeah, I understand. It is difficult. I think the medium is also quite saturating after a point, uh,
yeah,
but it is bringing people together in one way.
it is definitely bringing people together, because also a lot of people are creating this space where they're actually ideating a lot more.
Yes.
Like I think it has its benefits, because there you can actually have people from different parts of the country joining in, and different
Right.
parts of the world joining in with their perspective to art and to their perspective to movement, and their training are out there.
Right. But
What
is
you
there a way that someone can earn through expressive arts therapy? Is it just by taking classes? Or what are the different ways for someone who's looking at this and is probably thinking of, going into the experimental field? Is there a way to find some kind of stability even through monetary measures?
Well, that is a struggle for me also. I wouldn't say that it's
Right.
an easy ride, because I am still figuring it out myself. But I do see a lot of people. I think there is a way where you get into like the conventional profession for some time. Like,
Right.
suppose if I'm an artist, like if I'm a dancer into experimental work,
Right.
I do see like there needs to be a point where you continuously teach for a bit, or like do different freelancing projects, or get into acting, or do like commercials if you get, you know, like where you get yourself recognized in some way or the other, and then
Right.
get your art at some point in time. So I do see that as a form of getting some sort of stability and feeling
Right.
recognized.
Can you tell us a little bit about Arth, something you have been working on? Um,
Uh,
sure.
so I think art is something that it was like a child, you know, a flatmate, and I came up with when we were in Goa. Her name is Anahita. She's a yoga practitioner. And she's a dance hall dancer too. So we both wanted to incorporate the idea of wellness, you know, wellness through art. And where we aren't like really teaching a choreograph routine, or like, you know, we are giving this person the space to again explore and experiment with their bodies and make it a little more playful, you know, because as we grow up we start losing the essence of being playful with our body. When we were children we should just do like a random somersault, or like just do a cartwheel, or like a handstand, but over the years we start having body issue image problems, then sorry, body image issues, then that you just feel like, and I think this is not something that's just open to artists. I think it's open to anyone and everyone who likes art. So art is something that we came up with in Goa. We did plan to hold a dance, like an art and movement residency, where you would be staying in Goa for 10-12 days, where you would just be training from like 10 to 5,
Right.
or like from 9 to 5, where you're engaging in a lot more body processes in different, like she would be taking them through the yoga aspect of movement, where she's adding a little more of discipline,
Okay.
and like, you know, the breathing patterns, and like the asanas, the flow in all the yoga asanas, and then how you can use the flow and the movement into like a dance form,
Right.
where and I come in, where I do have in facilitate them through the idea of using metaphors, active imagination, exploration through your body, the 5 rhythms, the 5 elements, how it feels in your body, the sensations in your body, and also like adding a little of theatrical work, like, you know, how like trying to have storytelling through your body, or conversations through your body, rather than using your mouth to talk.
Right.
How can you
Right.
make your body more creative? How could you make your body more playful?
Hmm.
Is the idea of earth. We do plan at some point in time when things do easen up a little bit, hopefully soon. I see myself in Goa again doing this. So yeah, this is something we do plan. Also up north, like in Himachal, in Uttarakhand, Assam, in these pockets of the country which have a lot of artistic influence more than
Right.
the city, because we feel like the need to do this, you need to be away from like the city rut, and like trying to, you know, I think you need to like unearth yourself to understand your actual journey of your body, and how you find your organic movement, you know, an authentic movement through like the facilitation that we do.
That honestly, you put that very, very well. And how does one get in touch with you if they want to, maybe attend one of your sessions, or if you have an introductory session that people could do online? Is there anything that people can do to get in?
Yeah, okay. So my Instagram handle is Neet Tatvam. Okay, so there's a little story behind this. Neet Tatvam actually means inner element.
Mhm.
So, and I felt it was really coinciding with my actual work that I'm doing, like inner element of yours, or like your inner element of who you are, you know. So yeah, you could contact me through Instagram and my email ID, and I have a Facebook page, Nadi Dongre Official, so you could like get through that.
We'll mention
Um,
it in the YouTube description as well, so people can get in touch with you.
And yeah, I do hold like these creative movement workshops over the weekend, but I think I will be holding like a long thing, like a long day process, like a 5 day workshop soon. Just hoping to get my schedule in place now.
Okay, great, great. So for whoever's watching, we will put everything in the description box below, and you can contact Nidhi. And yeah, feel free to go and join her classes. So thank you so much, Nidhi, for taking the time out to explain to us what is movement therapy and how people can heal and explore through this. I believe that since most of us, like a lot of us who live in cities, have this daily rut, as you said, and we're doing one thing after the other, and there is no time to explore. I think it would be really great to have arts to find solace for ourselves. So thank you so much for being with us today, and we really enjoyed this.
Thank you so much for having me on board. It was great to be a part and sharing my story.
Thank you.
Thank you.